Hi, let's talk about contemplative education from the paradigm of first, second, and third person inquiry and how that relates and can be practiced in community lab class. So, first person contemplative inquiry is that we study ourselves, our experiences. We notice our thoughts, our feelings, our somatic reactions, our impulses, our behavior. We look at our potential motivations, and we may look at how these are habitualized in some way, or what is happening in the environment that's making us go to these habitualized thoughts, relational patterns, impulses in some way. So some questions you could ask yourself is, what do I think is happening in this present moment? Why do I think this is happening in this present moment? Is this really happening in this present moment? Is this some narrative I digested? What else may be happening in this present moment, right? You can ask yourself, what am I noticing now? Am I noticing my body, my breath, the tone of other people's voices, the color in the room? Am I noticing my thoughts? Am I noticing my feelings? Am I noticing other people's feelings? And also, are these habitualized ways that I go through the world that are manifesting in this current moment, which is what we all do? We have habitualized patterns. So how can we bring our awareness to these and potentially try to do something different? And you might even tell the class that I want to try something different. Right now I'm feeling angry, but I want to try to practice bringing more curiosity, right? You could ask yourself in this class, and I think throughout your life, a wonderful question is, what is my impulse? What do I want to do, right? Why do I want to do this? What might be my motivations for doing this action or that action, right? Am I following a script that developed in my childhood? Am I following a script that I saw other people I respect do in some way? Am I blindly rebelling against some behavioral script that I saw others do, right? And you could ask yourself, how would I like other people to see me? And who would I like to see me in what way? And why might I want them to see me in this way, right? Do I feel like in this moment I have to play a role in this group? Do I have to be the rebel rouser, or do I have to be a rescuer or a bystander and act like I'm not part of the web of karma that's occurring here, that I'm somehow outside of it, right? Do I have to be the truth teller who lets everyone knows what's really going on in this group because I alone see it most accurately? So these would be kind of the entry levels of first person inquiry. They, in the Buddhist tradition, it goes into the ideas of what is awareness, who am I, where do thoughts come from. I think that's outside the scope of this course. So second person contemplative inquiry is not written about as much and is kind of still a developing idea in the practice of contemplative education. But I think you see a few references that come from spiritual traditions, and one comes from the Zulu tradition and Butu. You probably have heard this, but it's this recognition that I am because you are, that we are all deeply, deeply connected, and that my presence might be bringing forth certain feelings or certain habitualized roles or patterns, right? Can I get more aware of how I participate or not participate, how that potentially impacts others, and can I learn and expand by eventually hearing this? Now, this is more a practice in small group than large group, but this idea in this course would be like, can I listen deeply? What can I learn from others about their thoughts, about their experiences? When you're in a group, you're basically able to expand who you are if you remain open to what other people's experiences are, right? And Buddha goes on to talk about the need is for understanding, not revenge or not control. And of course, with any tradition, there may be times when there may need to be some action and control taken. I think when I was leading these groups, I had a student get up and run around the room and kind of making guttural sounds, and I had to ask that student to leave, and as can happen, that student refused to leave, and then I ended course, and eventually that student got kicked out of Naropa. It was not, although that was his impulse, he didn't critically examine what its impact on others might be. The other term that comes up when we look at second person contemplative inquiry is interbeing. How can I understand myself as part of what is happening? How can I understand everyone here as part of what is happening? How can I bring a more curious, inclusive spirit to expand myself by learning and listening to others? How can I not listen to others in a way that I quickly put them into some pre-arranged former narrative, but how can I listen for the details of what they say that will be new to me and expand what I'm saying? This is you're not there yet, but the heart of body, speech, mind practice is we're trying to get beyond this intellectualization that's so habitualized in the West. So let's talk about third person contemplative education in terms of this community lab class. This is the main focus of this course. This is where you're wondering, why is this class doing what it's doing? The object of attention, exploration, and curiosity is not so much yourself, not so much the other people, but the group as an organism in and of itself. So this is very important as you step into various groups. I think this is an opportunity, and I'll make many videos about multiple theories about this, of what is occurring in this group in some way, right? Is this group, is there a pressure to conform? Is the pressure to conform in what way? Is there obedience to authority? Who is seen as the authority on different topics? Why are they seen as the authority? Why did I place them there? Why did the group place them there? Is there a defiance to authority? Why is that occurring in some way, right? Or is this group remaining open, or has it cognitively and relationally had closure where nothing new can happen? Why did that happen? How are each person participating in this? Is there a way to shift this energy in some way? Does this group have a Western simplification of thoughts, right? Or is it staying open to trying to understand the complexity and the interbeing of events in some way? Is there a scapegoat happening in the group? Who's the scapegoat? How did that happen? How do we get that not to happen in some way? What are the subgroups in this group? Who's part of which subgroups? Why does the group mind see these as the predominant subgroups, where really, most likely in any group, any two people have some kind of unique connection, but are we just falling into some familiar dominant narrative about what the subgroups are? And how is that helpful? I've written a ton about intersectionality in group work, and if you're really curious, I can send you some of these articles in some way. But are we seeing people in their intersectional complexity? And are we able to connect with them in their complexity? Or are we closing off and just labeling them as this or that? Is that happening in the group? Why is this happening? And I will cover all these in future videos, but you could ask yourself, is groupthink occurring? Are we all believe the same thing, right? Why aren't alternative points of view being expressed, right? What might we be missing? Or you could study the group. Is there a socio-cultural enactment going on, right? Is what's happening in this group somehow reflect what's happening in our society in some way, right? Is there a pull towards tribalism and othering in this group? How is that happening? So this is really the main focus. You will go through life, you'll be part of many groups. I think this is wonderful training in this program, although very challenging. If you stay with this program, you will most likely move into kind of leadership positions where you'll be having to manage systems and group dynamics. And this is the class where you can really practice getting beyond yourself, getting beyond other people to look at the more complex web of karma, of what is happening in the group, why is that happening, what are the other possibilities. So I really invite you to, when lost in large group or in community lab, to ask yourself, what's happening in the group? What's happening in this present moment? Why is this happening? Outside of any individual, what was the unique blend of ingredients that created this happening? In groups, there'll be a pull towards simplification, a pull towards dominant narratives, which are very, very limiting and sometimes oppressive and damaging. But is there a way you can examine what's happening in this group and potentially find a way to speak to it? And we all need humility. And I would say, this is how I'm seeing things. This is why I'm seeing them this way. This may be personal. Maybe it resonates with others. So that's my brief talk on first, second, and third person contemplative inquiry in terms of community lab course.